Hello there. Okay, right. This is part two of the R4 Dome. Um, and what we'll do today is I'll show you a little bit about starting to hollow the dome out and also to start to add some details. So, as always, you can see the dome in the center. Just opened it up now, and these models will be shared. So, last time we created the basic shape of an R4 dome accurate to the original blueprints. What we're going to do today is, first of all, we're going to hollow out these bodies. Now, you've got two bodies, so you've got a ring and you've got a dome. And typically on all the domes I've done so far, the wall of the dome I've made 6 mm. So, I'm going to show you a very easy tool which hollows this out. It's underneath Modify, and it's something called Shell. And what Shell does, it says there, removes material from a part interior and creates a hollow cavity with walls of a specified thickness. So what that actually means is, if you highlight the face, it's asking you to highlight the face of a body, and I type 6mm, it will actually hollow out this at 6mm. So click OK, and there you go. You've now got a hollow ring of 6mm. Okay, now what I am going to do actually is I want to then make that a complete ring right the way through, so it's completely hollow rather than a flat bit. So what you can do in Fusion is literally you can click on a face and press the delete key, and it will literally hollow it out that way. There's lots of other ways you could do it. You could draw an inner circle, and you could use extrude to extrude the hole through it, but I'm just showing you different ways of approaching it. Okay, now the hollow command can also be used on other structures. So I'll just show you on the actual main dome. Now the main dome, this one I know because I've played with this before, it's actually quite a complex shape. So sometimes a hollow can give you weird results, which I will try and show you now. So I'm going to put shell, I'm just going to put 6mm. It will take a while to sort of calculate this depending on the speed of your machine, but you can see what's happened with this is it's got really confused, and actually it's hollowed out and removed sections of the wall. So I'll hit cancel on that. So it's giving quite inconsistent results. Now where hollow does get a challenge with is some of these really tight areas, like this little tight corner there. So there's a couple of things that you can do to sort of fault find and fix this, and I'll show you this because it can be quite frustrating sometimes with Fusion. So what I'm going to do is a good way of testing things is if you go into Sketch and Line or press L as I've just done there, is you can actually just chop and tick that like that, and all I'm going to do is modify split body. I'm just going to chop this body in half, and I'll show you why. Okay, so now I've got a two-part dome. I've got that part and I've got the top part. So what I'm going to try and do first of all is I'm going to shell the bottom part, modify shell 6mm, and you can see that's perfect. That's shelled really nice. Okay, so I'm going to hide that part of the dome, and I'm going to do the same again, modify shell, highlight that 6mm. And you can see this time it's pausing a little bit and then it's come up with an error. So I know that the issue is kind of in this top bit. Okay, just going to click the undo to take us back to where we were with one thing. Okay, now what I'm actually going to do this time is looking at it from the front. Okay, I'm now going to go zoom into that corner, and I'm going to create a line 1mm down, and then I'm going to cut across 1mm and tick that. Okay, so what I've actually done there is I've drawn a line which is parallel to that, dropped it down 1mm and put that line. The reason that is I'm just going to shave the top mill of the dome off. Okay, so modify split body, highlight and select that as a splitting tool, click OK, and now I've actually got two parts dome. So you can't, that is a single piece just at the top of the dome, And what it does mean, if you zoom in, is I've lost that little point there where I suspect this particular problem is. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that, I'm going to click modify, and I'm going to shell it, and I'm going to do it to 6 mil. Okay. And see what the results are now that I've took a mil off the top. Okay. So now you can see that that's shelled perfectly okay. So I'm going to go okay. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I will modify, combine that top one and that one together. Click OK. And now I've got a 6 mil shell dome. The only kind of thing I haven't got is the inside of this shell here is actually, and I'll inspect it, I'll just show you. So the distance between that and the top piece is now 9.32 because I've got that extra mil sort of sat on top of it. But to be fair, that's not that much of an issue with this particular dome. I can kind of live with that. It's, yeah, there you go. So it's 7 mil rather than 6 mil. So I've got an extra mil that sits in there. Okay, but what you've got now is I've now got out the shelled dome. Remember, the walls on this are 6 mil. Okay, so effectively that is how you shell it out. What I would normally do now is I would normally start to put details on the dome that I wanted to. So what I am going to do first of all is I'm going to save as, and I'm just going to save this as R4 part 2 blank dome. Okay, save, there you go. So now I've got this dome here with the hollowed out, and this is now saved as a blank dome. It's part 2. Okay, so what that means is that if you are if you're going to go into the shared area, there's two public files now. There's a dome part 1 and dome part 2, so you've got 2 domes to play with and use as you see fit in detailing. So what I would normally do now is I would normally add some of the panelings and some of the kind of effects that you see on the outside of the dome, as well as starting to think about how we actually slice that dome up for use on whatever size printer you've actually got. So just to reiterate, that's your part 1, and that there you go is your part 2. Okay, so how would I add details onto this? Okay, so I'll just show you a couple of ways, and I'm not going to save these details, but it'll give you a little bit of taster for what we're probably going to do next time. So the first thing I may add is I'm going to add a little circle that goes, let's do a little circle that goes around this dome here. So again, what we do is we create lines. We're going to basically cut the dome. I'm going to select this plane. Yeah, and then what we do is you draw a line out there. Okay, and then I will draw a line up at 1.54 mil. Now 1.54 mil is the depth of most of the details that you see in R2. So what I tend to use is, I'll just show you what I've drawn there. So what I've drawn is I've drawn a line that is horizontal. I've gone up 1.54 mil and a line that goes that way, because I'm going to use this to actually cut this dome. So if I now modify split body, highlight that, select this, and because I've made it as a U, it actually bends back on itself, and as you can see, it kind of cuts it, and it cuts it twice with 2 layers. So if I click OK, what I end up with then is 3 pieces. So I end up with the bottom piece, the big top piece, and then this middle piece. Okay, now let's say to add detail, just a ring around the dome, I'm going to highlight a face, right click, press pull, and I'm going to type minus 1.54 mil and hit return. And what that's actually done is it's now created an indent, as you can see, all the way around the dome at 1.54 mil. Yep. And then all I would do is go back to modify, combine, and I would combine that one, and that one back into a piece, and now I have a single piece with the detail on. Other ways that I might add detail, if I hit sketch line, I go onto here. Now I'll show you interesting little element is I can draw details onto here if I wanted to, but under sketch you've got a one called project, and what project it allows you to do is to click on any face and effectively create a sketch out of that face. So that now, if I hide the body, there you go, you can see the sketch that's created. Okay. The second command I'm going to use is another one that I use quite a lot, which is offset. And if I highlight that, what offset does is it lets me now offset this either way by whatever dimensions I have in here. So if I want to add a little bit of detail, say a little triangle like that, and I'm going to call it 26, tab, okay, and then what I might do is do sketch offset again, just check because it does hide sketches sometimes, as we know, and what I might do this time is do this at 27.54. Okay, and then press enter, and what that's actually done now is it's created two areas where I've now got detail. It stops sketch. So now if I zoom in, I can actually highlight that bit of detail, and all I do is I right click on that, press pull, and this time I'm going to do minus 1.54, hit tab, hit OK, and you can see what it's actually done now is it's cut that panel out on here. Okay. Now what I know sometimes what we do is we then use this to create inlaid patterns and things like that, but you can see how these things start to build up. Bring the sketch back again. And highlight the body so you can see there's your sketch, and you can also do things like modify, split body, highlight that, and actually select that out to sketch. You can't always see it, you can always hide the body behind it, click that and bring the body back in, press return, and now what you've actually created is you created this body as a cutout. What you've got to watch with this is as you see on the other side, it'll actually project through and cut the other part out. So modify, combine those two pieces back together again. And what you've actually got now is you've got a dome and a panel. Now, if you printed some of my models, you'll see what I tend to do is I will create different layers of so that the panels are slightly recessed in certain holes, but just really wanted to cover off adding a little bit of detail. Just delete the sketches as I tend to do, adding a little bit of detail to the panels and how you can actually start to do that as you start to build up the droid that you want to, or the dome that you want to. So covering off today, really quite simple hollowing, dealing sometimes with errors by chopping pieces in half and trying it and working out where it hits. So I just took the top mill off here and hollowed that out, and then adding some of the details by doing the press and pull command based on where you actually do your sketches. Hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit more insight into this. Actually, while I remember, what I will do is I will just show you one last thing, just as a to show you a limitation how to get around it on Fusion. So we've done this panel. Now imagine I wanted to put a similar one on here. This panel is actually curved, so if I do a sketch line, I can only select flat surfaces. I can't sketch on anything that's round. Okay, so that becomes quite a challenge, but what you actually do is you would click on construct, as we've done before, plane through 3 points, and then select 3 even points like that. And then what you can do is you can draw your detail actually on that plane, like that, for example. Stop sketch, and then what you can do is modify split body, highlight that, select the outer circle, modify split body, inner circle, bring the sketch back, like that. Let's just make that disappear so I can actually select just make it all disappear actually, so I can drag the sketch. Select the inner circle, there we go, body back, okay. Highlight that, press pull, -1.45, modify, combine that with that. Okay, right, there you go. So as you can see, what I've done now is that's actually created that detail that sits on there. So you can see actually it's relatively quick and easy to start to add detail paneling. But again, watch out, as you can see there, it's done a straight cut right the way through. So just combine that back in again and click OK. Okay, so it allows you to start to build up, just delete the sketch, it allows you to start to build up the dome and the body as you see fit and what you actually want, the designs and the panellings that you want to put onto there. And you can do the same on the top. I'm not going to save this particular dome because I don't think it's particularly inspiring look to it, but that gives you an idea of the insight on there. So next time what we'll do is we'll add some actual details. I may recreate the very first R4 Dome, which is the one that we saw in A New Hope, just to give you kind of a little bit of a overview on adding some of the details and some of the panelling, and we'll start to add some of the bits that we need inside so that we can cut it up for a 200 by 200 printer. But by having the blank dome with the hollow, it means you can also, if you've got one of the big CR10s that do 500 by 500, you can potentially print this dome in one piece. So hopefully that was another quick one. Good overview of the R4 Dome, creating it, getting it hollow, and getting it and adding some detail. And as I said, next one we'll go through to actually getting something that we think is usable. So anything that you want to see, any more tools or anything that you're interested in, just stick something on page and drop me a message. I'll continue with this, and what we'll actually produce is the R4 Dome that we saw in A New Hope. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and take care, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you.